Today, we're diving into a really fascinating book called Algoritmos Deshumanizantes by Santiago Jimenez Londoño. We're going to unpack the hidden logic of the algorithms that are, well, pretty much running our lives and reshaping our world from the inside out.
So the book kicks off with a paradox that I think we all feel, right? We've got more tools to connect with each other than at any point in history, but study after study shows that people are feeling more and more lonely. So what gives? Londoño argues the answer is actually hiding in the very code that's supposed to be bringing us together.
In this quote from the author just nails the central tension of our time. We're generating all this data, supposedly to understand ourselves better, but in the process, it feels like our unique, individual spark is just dissolving. This isn't just a tech problem, it's a real philosophical crossroads.
To really get to the bottom of this, we first need to get a handle on the world we're living in right now. It's an environment where our reality is being shaped more and more by algorithms.
It all starts with a principle you've probably heard a million times. If the service is free, you're the product. Thinkers like Shoshana Zuboff and Jaron Lanier have been saying this for years. On these free platforms, our personal data, every click, every like, every second we watch something, that's the real currency.
But here's where it gets deeper than just data privacy. The philosopher Eric Sadin points out that the real goal isn't just to watch us. No, it's to actively and very subtly influence our behavior. It's about shaping our decisions in ways we don't even notice.
And Londoño gives this invisible, influential force a name that really gets to the heart of his entire book.
So, what does he actually mean by dehumanizing? Well, it's a logic that loves things that are predictable, repeatable, and efficient. And in doing that, it kind of flattens out all the beautiful, messy, complicated parts of being human. You know, our weird quirks, our ability to surprise people, our genuine experiences, and turns it all into neat, tidy data points.
To help us see this, the author brings up this incredible story from Jorge Luis Borges. It's about an empire that created a map so perfectly detailed that it was the exact same size as the empire itself, which of course made it completely useless. It's such a perfect metaphor for what algorithms are trying to do to us. Create this perfect, one-to-one model of human behavior, which is it's an absurd and impossible goal.
To build on that, we get this idea from the philosopher Jean Baudrillard, the simulacrum. Now, this is a mind-bending concept. It's basically a copy that doesn't have an original. It's a representation that becomes so powerful, so pervasive, that it starts to feel more real than reality itself. I mean, think about your online profile. At what point does it stop just describing you and start telling you who you're supposed to be?
Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this dehumanizing logic actually play out in our everyday lives? Well, let's take a look at something deeply personal: friendship. What happens when you apply prediction and optimization to our closest relationships?
First, just wrap your head around the scale we're talking about. A single platform like Facebook has 3 billion active users. That's the huge arena where these algorithmic connections are being made. And they operate on a totally different set of rules than actual human friendship.
And that creates this huge contrast. On one side, you have algorithmic connection. It demands that you're always on, always performing to stay relevant in the feed. It rewards the quantity of your connections, not their quality. And it suddenly pushes everyone to act and think the same way. But on the other side, you have real, human friendship. It's based on things like authenticity and virtue. It can handle arguments and tough conversations, and it doesn't just disappear if you don't post for a week.
This line from Borges, which Londoño highlights in the book, just says it all, doesn't it? True friendship doesn't need constant check-ins to survive. But social media algorithms, they thrive on it. They demand it. They turn our relationships into this non-stop performance for everyone else to consume.
So, the book takes this same critical idea and applies it somewhere else that feels deeply human, to art and creativity. What happens when the logic of prediction and repetition starts to take over the very act of creating something new?
The philosopher Walter Benjamin had this concept of the aura of a piece of art. Its unique presence, its history, its here and now. He worried that photography was diminishing that aura. Londoño suggests that with AI-generated art, that aura, that spark of a real, lived human experience, it isn't just diminished, It's absent from the very start.
Which brings us to a really critical question. If art is just being generated by a machine that's incredible at spotting patterns in millions of other images, but has never actually felt anything, what are we losing? Where is the human in that equation?
This simple number puzzle from the book illustrates the difference between creativity and prediction perfectly. So, what number comes after 2, 4, 6? An algorithm, which is designed to find the most probable, obvious pattern, is going to say 8. But a human, we can find other, totally valid answers, like 10 or even 13, by inventing a more complex rule. It shows you right there. Algorithms are built for repetition, but human creativity is all about finding the unexpected.
So, after diagnosing this whole problem, where's that leave us? I mean, it can feel a bit grim, but the book doesn't just leave us hanging. It actually offers a way forward. How do we push back against this logic and start reclaiming what makes us human?
The philosopher Hannah Arendt gives us this incredibly powerful answer. She said that the thing that truly makes us human is our ability to start something new, to do the unforeseen. And that is the exact opposite of what an algorithm is for. An algorithm predicts. We, at our best, create the unexpected. That's what's at stake here. So, what can we actually do? The book lays out a kind of humanist's response. It begins with just being more aware, more critical of how these systems are nudging us. From there, it's about making deliberate choices, choosing real, physical experiences over digital ones, learning to embrace life's messy imperfections instead of trying to optimize them all away, and even deliberately practicing disconnection. It really all boils down to asking a very simple question of our technology. What is this for? What values is this pushing on me?
And that leaves us with one last big provocative thought. If all these algorithms really are just a mirror, reflecting our own society, our own desires, our own values back at us, then we have a huge choice to make. What kind of humanity do we want to see looking back at us from that reflection?